Hello everyone, I hope you're all well. Wanted to do a video just briefly explaining what a recruitment consultant does, their day-to-day activity, and how I'm going to break it down in the sort of hours and the key duties that you'll be doing. So there's a lot of misconception out there. There's a lot of false information. There's not a good video on it on YouTube. I've seen a few and it's just broken down, trying to sell a course as usual, people. So I just want to break down and give you a little bit of inside knowledge into what a recruitment consultant does and what we're tasked with that. So usually when you work for a company, you'll have a set target. Now, they're usually called KPIs, which is key performance indicators, and you'll be tasked with meeting those on a weekly, daily, and monthly basis. So they could be very soft. So the soft KPIs like number of calls, number of interviews booked, and number of emails sent. Those are usually the three most popular ones. The most popular is obviously revenue. Typically, most companies, from what I see, expect their recruitment consultant to generate around £10,000 a month in revenue. So if you're becoming a recruitment consultant, after 6 months or a year, you'll be expected to make at least over 100K in your first year. Now, those sort of targets are ascertainable. They aren't a sort of pie in the sky. A lot of people do and don't meet them. A lot of people can't meet them and they quit recruitment. A lot of people get fired because of it. But if you actually work hard and you watch some of my videos and you become a good recruiter, and you can actually make a very good commission off it. And off that 100K, you probably will be making in your own pocket about 10 to 20% off of that in terms of your commission. So if you made £100,000, you'll probably get about 10 to 20,000 pound in commission in your first year. So if you do really well, you can obviously exceed that. The good thing with recruitment is you can win one big contract and you can be making 30, 40 grand on top of your basic salary from just one client or one phone call. So it can be done, and it has been done, and it's still going to be done as well. So in a day-to-day activity, I'm only going to talk about a 360 recruiter. A 180 recruiter will only deal with candidates and interview candidates and then send the CV. But I want to talk about a 360 recruiter, which is the most popular one. They do all the job. They win new business. They find candidates, and they obviously make revenue for the company. So on a day-to-day activity, I'm going to start with the evening, believe it or not. So at 5 o'clock in the evening, most schedules will look like you'll check what jobs you have, positions wise, and you advertise those jobs. Sometimes you can have a resourcer or an admin staff or someone in the company that posts your job advertisements. So a lot of companies will have software, that will post the jobs for you from a CRM. Sometimes you have to manually post them on a job board or on LinkedIn, and you'll just post it there. The reason you post it in the evening, most candidates will be applying in the evening, so the jobs are fresh for the next day. So when you come in the morning at 9 a.m, you will have in your inbox, hopefully, some CVs from candidates that are interested in positions that your clients have given you. And the day isn't set in stone. You can obviously chop and change or switch the morning to the afternoon, but I'm just giving you a sort of brief summary of what a day would look like. So at 9 to 9:30, you can probably just go through your emails. Sometimes I've had 600 emails from one night, believe it or not. Sometimes I've had one or two emails. So it does depend on the time of season and your workload. Christmas time, some industries die really down. So you don't get many emails, but you'll be tasked with going through those. So if you've got a lot of emails, email management comes into play. You skim through the important stuff and you go from there. Now, what you're tasked with is find the suitable candidate that you think is ready to interview. Your experience will obviously take part in that, and your client would have given you a brief or when they gave you a job order. So they might have sent you a detailed job description of what to look for. Let's say it's an administrator, but they want someone that can do payroll as well, and they're willing to pay X amount of salary, and they want someone to start within 3 weeks. So let's say you get a CV from the night before and you interview that person. You'd call them up. If you can't get through to them, you'd leave them a voicemail. If you can get through to them, you'd ask a few questions. Either some companies have a process, or you can just willy-nilly have a conversation with them, see if they'll be interested in the position. You'd ask them, why are you leaving your current position? What's happened? Are you working at the moment? What's your salary expectations? Where are you located? You'd look on Google Maps while you're on the phone to them and say, look, it's only 20 minutes from you. I know you're traveling an hour and a half. This will be much better for you. It's a higher salary, etc. When can you interview? If I got you an interview, would you like me to send your CV across? In a nutshell, that's how a summary of a call would go. The candidate will obviously have questions around the company. Why are they hiring? Why is there an open position? How long has this position been open? Why haven't they filled it? These are questions that will come up when you get experience. You'll just be able to, understand the role and answer those questions there. From there on in, you would get their CV, you'd look through it, and you'd send it along usually with a cover sheet. And now a cover sheet would say, this person lives 20 minutes away. They are interested in a position. They're leaving their last role because they're traveling an hour and a half. They've got six years experience in this sector. They have experience in, both administration and payroll. So they're perfect. Any other skills you'd highlight if they speak another language, their salary expectations, you disclose that. Available to interview within 24 hours. Wednesday and Tuesday work for them. So you'd send it to your client. You'd either email them. Oftentimes, if you're an experienced recruiter, you'd call up your client, or if you've got a good relationship, and you'd say, look, Mr. Client, I've got a fantastic candidate for your position. I know you've been looking for 6 weeks. Would you be able to interview tomorrow? Would you be able to do this? I know it's quite an urgent position, but I think I've found someone suitable. They can say, yes, book them in. So what you'd do is you'd bring up your candidate again, and you'd say, look, we've booked you an interview. Fantastic. You'd send the address and confirmation email. And after that, you will come back to your client and do exactly the same. Send the candidate's details. I often give in my emails my direct mobile number. So if anything goes wrong and it is a cancellation, oftentimes if it's, booked in 2 weeks in advance, you'd want to check in with that candidate. So you have all these calls will be scheduled naturally. So let's say that interview's for tomorrow. What you do is you go through the rest of your CVs and then you proactively hunt. Let's say you've got interviews for 8 positions, but there's 2 positions that you want to try and find candidates for. So what you can do is you can go on the CV database online, which is one of the popular job boards, usually CV Library, Total Jobs, Reed, and also LinkedIn you'd be using. So you'd be searching for candidates. Let's say you didn't find anyone for that admin payroll position. You'd be searching on the database. So you type in some details, the location, the address, and the salary amount, and it will find CVs of people. You'd cold call them, or you'd email them and say, look, I've got a fantastic opportunity. Can we have a chat? Would you be interested in hearing more about it? In a nutshell, that's what you'd be doing. Sometimes you cold call and offer your service. If they're interested, they are. If they aren't, they aren't. And you move on. After that, if you've found a CV, you'd repeat the process. You'd send it to your client or put a call in and then mention it from there. After that, it gets to probably the afternoon time where you want to sort of win new business. Now, depending on how busy you are, if you've got a lot of jobs to work on or you need a lot of candidates for your jobs, you want to manage your time efficiently and you want to do business development from there. So business development is winning new business, either cold emailing or cold calling. When you're working for an agency, oftentimes the only method they like to see is cold calling. So you'd often be picking up the phone, you'd have a lead list, or you'd go on Indeed and you'd look for clients that are hiring. You'd call them and say, hello, can I speak to this person? And then, introduce yourself and your service. Ask them how it's going. Most times, 90% of the calls will not get through. Business development in recruitment is getting, as time goes on, more and more difficult. So it's probably the reason why people leave the industry. They can't win new business and they can't obviously just sort of, how can I explain it? They can't excel at being a recruiter. If you can win business and not just win business, but actually help your clients find the right people, that's typically what sets apart a good recruiter from not. So if you do want to learn business development, I would suggest, watching some of my videos, buying a book or course, a training course on it from God knows where. I can't make any recommendations, but, have a look at that. And that's a great skill because if you go to any other agency, you have a fallout with your boss or you want to progress and they're not giving you a pay rise. Oftentimes you can take that skill and you can advertise it to employers. I won X amount of business. I brought 30 companies in for my business. So it's a really good skill, and it's a very sought after skill. You might spend 1 or 2 hours a day doing that until you build up a portfolio. Just to give you an idea, I worked for a company for 1 year, and I managed to, I think in the first 3 to 6 months, it was about close to 60 clients I brought on, whereas the company in that year only brought on about 3 or 4 clients. So I really excelled at it, and it's a skill I practiced and honed in on. And once you build up a certain level, you'll become an account manager. So if you've brought on, let's say what I done, 60 clients, you wouldn't be doing business development. You just have to go really hard at it at the start, and then afterwards you can sort of home in on the account management. So let's say you had the admin and payroll position, going back to that, and the person successfully got the job. You'd, speak to your candidate, they would accept. You'd organize a start date, and your client will send them a contract. You have to manage the process and make sure the client has sent the contract and the person starts and they're happy. After that, you get paid commission on that. And let's say the person says, look, we don't have any more hiring needs, or the client says, we're not interested in hiring anyone at the moment. Great. In 3 months' time, we might be. So you'd be inclined to checking in with that candidate and client. You'd also be tasked with, or you should be making sure your candidate's happy in that position. You don't want to be putting someone in a position and they're not happy, or it could oftentimes be something that they're not satisfied with, or they're a bit shy to ask their employer. You can step in and make sure that person's happy, so both parties are, happy with that. So in a nutshell, in the day-to-day of a recruitment consultant, you'll be, at the end of the day, advertising your jobs, making sure it's organized for the next day. You'll be proactively looking at CVs, applicants that have come in the afternoon or the early morning. You'll be looking at finding more candidates, and in the afternoon, be doing business development or account management on that side. If you're very busy and you've got a lot of clients, you want to just be spreading most of your day dealing with candidates to find for those positions ready to interview. If you haven't got a lot of jobs and clients, maybe your whole day will be business development. Marketing yourself is a big part. So you'll be using LinkedIn to post your positions, to network. In a nutshell, that's what a recruitment consultant does on a day-to-day basis. So hope that cleared up. Any questions you have, please let me know. I've made more detailed videos on these specific topics. If you like my videos, please subscribe. I'll be happy to hear any comments, and drop me an email. It's on my profile. Take care.